Absolute Emperor, Napoleonic Wargame Rules by Boyd Bruce, part of the Osprey Wargames Blue Book series. We're doing Prussians versus Russians, and both armies are going to take advantage of the flank march rules. Russians are going to be coming in from the north edge of the table, Prussians from the south. You can see we've got a stream. We'll go over terrain effects real quick. The swamp here is impassable, and it does block line of sight. We've got 3 hills. We've got several forests. This little clump here basically operates the same as one individual forest. We got a built-up area. The stream blocks movement, kind of. It takes a full move to get over the stream for everyone. It can be crossed by anyone, but you have to spend a full move crossing from one bank to the next. The bridges and the built-up area, if you are moving in flank march, you can move right on through. As I said, and then the victory conditions are control the 2 churches. If you have a division closer to both churches at the end of the game, I mean, really fundamentally, I think this is just going to be drive the other guy from the field. But we'll put a turn limit. We'll just say 10 turns. After 10 turns, if you've got the closest unit to both churches, you win. If you've got one church, the other army's got the other, then it's a draw. So nice and easy. But as I said, flank march. So the question is going to be, well, first of all, let's go over the armies real quick. The Prussians have 2 corps, one of which has 2 seasoned infantry, 1 conscript, 2 artillery, and 1 conscript line cavalry. Now, the other one has 2 seasoned infantry and 2 seasoned light cavalry. I don't know which one is going to do flank march. I don't know which side they're going to come on. So in a 1-2-3, it's going to be that first corps is going to be flank marching. It's not. So we've got 2 seasoned infantry and 2 seasoned light cavalry. And on a 1-2-3, they're coming in from that side. So they're coming in over here. The Prussians want to bring in 2nd Corps over there. For the Russians, they've got a 1st Corps that has 4 conscript infantry, 2 artillery, and a seasoned light cavalry. And then the 2nd Corps is 3 veteran infantry and 1 seasoned heavy cav. So a large group of conscripts or a smaller group of veterans. On a 1-2-3, the conscripts start on the table. And that's what it's going to be. So the conscripts are going to start up there. And the more seasoned guys are coming in, and they want to flank march on a 1-2-3 on the west. So we get a flank march here and a flank march here. Don't worry about what turn they're coming in on. I'll show you how we're going to keep that. Now, in the rules for Absolute Emperor, you actually designate a turn. They're going to come in on turn 3 or 4. And then if they come in on the same side, you do a roll-off. We don't have to deal with that, but we do want to preserve some of that mystery. So let's get our corps on the table first. And we'll get started. Well, before we get started, I'll show you exactly how we're going to determine what turn those flank marches come in on. Let's take a look at the battlefield from the Prussian perspective first. They have 2 artillery. They've got 1 conscript line cavalry, 1 conscript infantry, and 2 seasoned infantry. So for the Prussians, it's very easy. These guys here, it says heavy foot. You can see they're all jammed up into a solid block. Those are conscripts. The rest of the infantry for the Prussians are seasoned. Both sides have opted to start with more troops on the table to start. And then over here, off to the west, you can see there is another division that is conducting a flank march. That consists of 2 seasoned infantry and 2 seasoned light cavalry. What turn do they come on? Well, I don't know yet. Here's what we're going to do to surprise ourselves. I'm going to roll a d6. I'm going to keep a running tally. If I get a 12 on that running tally, then they come on that turn. We'll roll that during the command turn. In other words, they're not going to come on the first turn. Highly unlikely they come on the second turn. And then 3rd, 4th, 5th becomes a lot more likely, but I don't know which turn it's going to be. Their orders are going to be to take that church. These guys' orders are going to be to take that church. And where they come on, I'm not quite sure. I think, because the rules just say they come on that side of the board edge. I think it's going to depend on where our commander-in-chief starts. As you can see, we've got our division commander that starts on the board, has got everybody within 4 inches, so he's good. Let's hop over and take a look at the Russians, and we're going to do the same thing. Except the Russians, of course, start with a lot of their guys on the field. So what I did is I just had everybody start within 4 inches of the battlefield. We've got our division chief here. This is our commander-in-chief. And he is within command range of that guy there, and then everybody's within 4 inches. And to start off, I pretty much put this guy within 9 inches of the table edge. We're going to do the same thing for the Russians that we did for the Prussians. We have 2 artillery, and all the artillery start off limbered so they can move on the first turn. We've got 1 seasoned light cavalry, 2 artillery, and all 4 of these guys are conscripts. They march 2 by 2. The reinforcements over here, waiting just off board, they have 3 veteran infantry, and they're kind of a hodgepodge mix of different kinds of forces. We got 3 of those, and then we've got 1 seasoned heavy cavalry. So again, the Russians have sent their heavy hitters on the flank march. As I was saying, I think what's going to happen is they're going to come on wherever they can. This guy has to maintain when he comes on the board, he's got to be within 9 inches of the commander-in-chief. So the commander's going to have to stay cheating over to this side, which is going to make life a little bit difficult to keep these guys in command as they circle around and try to take this Onion Dome Church right there. All of the division commanders have an elan of 3, except for the Russian First Corps. He's got an elan of 4. Since the Russians have the elan advantage, they force the Germans to go first. And as I said, I'm going to roll a d6 for the Germans, and they get a 3. So that's what their tally is at so far. And I think probably the best bet, I'm going to use a d10 and a d12. We'll give d12 over there and a d10. So the 3 is our tally for the Germans, our reinforcement counter, if you will. And then I might as well go ahead and roll for the Russians this turn as well. They get a 5. So as things stand, the Russians seem to be a bit more likely to come on the board first, but we'll have to play the game to find out. I am going to leave this army commander right here, and I'm going to bring this guy up 3 inches to there. Now everybody has to, I'm going to bring him up 1 more just to be sure. Now that he has moved, I can bring my cannons up, and my cannon are going to move to, yeah, they're going to move there and there. Now that guy, so there, they can move 3 inches and unlimber. And if they were right there, I think we're going to be okay to unlimber here and here. So they've taken up position on the hill right there. And then we can bring our troops who are marching in, march column. They're not on road or anything like that, so they're only going to be able to move a total of, march column, 4 inches. And we'll start on this side. So 4, bring each of the lead elements up first, and 4 inches. And then those cavalry are going to stay in, so we've got cavalry up on the hill back there. Maybe we can show you. These guys right here, if they are in squadron formation, they can move a total of 4 inches. They can do that whether they're in squadron or flank. I think maybe I'm going to put them in march, and I'm going to go ahead and zip them over to here in column just to, so that means we got to scoot these guys back a little bit. So they're going to kind of ride out, take point a little bit. So that's it for the Russians for this first turn. And we'll squeeze them all in just at the base of the hill. And then the Prussians are going to advance on their objective as well. These guys are trying to take that church. And in column march, moving 4 inches, our conscripts are going to go try to seize this town. They're going to have to wait till next turn. Oh, no, I forgot. We have to move him first. He's got to stay within 9 inches, so he's going to come up to here. And then I have to ensure that all of my boys are, so we'll go 6 inches to there, are within, oh no, they're within 4 inches of him. So he's 9 to there, and 4 inches means these cannon are not going to be able to go up on top of the hill. That being the case, we will slide him back a little bit, and we're going to move them 6 inches to here and here. I think that's 6 inches. Yeah, that's pretty good. They are still limbered. They can't attack this turn, and then the 2 infantry columns will ride up a little something like this, ride up. They'll march up, and then these guys can move a total of 8 inches. They are within 4. So they'll slide in here like so. So that's it for movement for the first turn. Nobody is in range. Oh, I did those backwards, didn't I? That's going to be more important later, I think. We'll do reinforcements check for the Russians. They get a 10. And the Prussians are going to be up to a 7. We'll get it right this time. The Russians say, Prussians, you go first. So the Prussians are going to start by rotating their... Oh, you know what? This built-up area, we're going to have to hopscotch... Ooh. Yeah, we're going to hopscotch this guy over here and then unlimber. He's going to just stay there and unlimber like that. And then we'll move... Yeah, we got one more turn. So we're going to move these guys 4 inches up. Like so, and like so. And then we're going to move these guys into the town. So the crossroads are controlled by those conscripts. Everybody's still within 4. And then I'm missing I think there should be 4 horses here. Let me grab that last base. All right, so that's a little better. And then they can move 8 inches. They're going to ride 8 up to here. Like that. And now the Prussians are done. Let's see what the Russians do. Over here on this flank, the Russians have pulled off to the north. And they did that. It looks like they're a little bit out of position. But they noticed these cannons down here. And by hugging that hillside... they stay out of range of these cannons, and they'll be able to come in from this side. And presumably, they're going to march over and take up position to drive those guys off when the reinforcements come in. And that is it for movement on this second turn. Again, we don't have any shooting. Nobody is within range. No charges, no combat. Moving on to turn number 3. We may need to do 12 turns on this one. We'll start with our reinforcements. And hey, look at that with a 13. Maybe we should have done 15 for coming in. A 13 and a 12. Our reinforcements are now free to come on the board. I said that, but now that I look at it, I kind of like the way this is shaping up. These flanks both came on turn 3. And they really do make this game dynamic in a way you don't often see. We're really going to have to think about how to bring these guys on. For starters, where's our Prussians are going to come on. Where's our Russians? Here we go. So our Russian commander-in-chief is right here, which means this is as close to the church as this flank march can come on. But that's all right, because what we'll do is we'll send one unit is going to appear here. And I guess what we'll do is we'll say on this first turn of coming on the board, you have to appear on the board edge, and then you can move as normal next turn. And pick your formation. These guys are going to come on like so. And I guess that means we're going to have to send our... we're going to have to send this last... What are these guys? Seasoned? Our veteran infantry are going to come on and column over here. And then we'll do line and line. And 4 inches, man. 4 inches. Yeah, these cavalry are going to have to come on. Wait, I guess since these guys can come on within 4 inches, we'll put them on like that. And we'll bring the cavalry in squadron like so. But we probably shouldn't have revealed those cards just yet. We probably should have remembered that because the Russians have the Elan, it's going to be the Prussians, are going to have the option, and these guys are a little far away. They should have been pulled back. The Prussians have to move first. We're going to form... so we'll What are we going to do here, guys? We're going to rotate this cannon this way. Well, again, I'm going to bring my commander-in-chief into right there so that my horses can form squadron up on the hill like this. These guys can form attack column and move 3 inches to squeeze up into here. And then these guys can flank march, and they're going to use the woods and the church itself to slip on through that gap there. So we've got cannons watching this way, cannons watching that way, and everybody is within 4 inches. Well, I can't move him. Remember, we said we move him first. Everybody's within 4 inches of our division commander. Then the Germans have to come in over on this other flank. Okay, I screwed up a little bit, so I got to bring these guys on a little bit further. The commander-in-chief needs to be there to make... we're doing it again. Commander-in-chief needs to be there so he's 9 inches away, so that this guy can come on and be 9 inches away. We're forced by the positioning of our leaders to bring this cavalry a little further south than we'd really like. Hey, that's the way the rules work. We got to stay in 4 inches, and so that's the best we can do. We're done moving the Prussians, and now the Russians get to throw up a counter. I already showed you where these Russians jumped the gun, so let's take a look over at the Russians here on the northern flank. You can see they're still giving these guns a wide berth. They're conscript, what do you expect? They have started forming line formation to sweep in over here, and the cavalry are starting over there. This is as far as they can go. Remember, he can't move any further in this direction. He can only swing down at least until that division commander can pull out to pull him over. Well, actually, so that to free the army commander to shift over so he can start shifting down and bring these troops in. And we do have some cannon fire, so let's pull back to take a broader look at the entire battlefield. That's pretty good right there. And cannon fire is going to be... I'm not using any of the period-specific rules for this. Bogs down a little bit too much. We have a shot... Oh, if we go straight on like that, yeah, it's going to clip. If it wasn't for this guy, he would have a shot. But since his shot clips his ally, you can't shoot through your friends, he does not have a shot. He does not... Oh, does he? They're just out of range. It's almost like they planned it that way. However, the Russian guns do have at least one shot. Oh, no, the trees are blocking it. As are their allies. They could... Well, let's look at that real close. Unfortunately, they do not. And then, even if you could shoot over your friends, they're 12 inches away. So artillery, just not getting it done today. No shooting. On to turn number 4. And as things stand, the Prussians control this church. The Russians have the nearest troop to this church. I guess we should say you have to be within 3 inches of the churches in order to control, which means maybe they don't. These are not built-up areas, by the way. They're just churches. They block movement, line of sight, so they're just something to get in the way. And we're ready for turn number 4. Prussians have to move first. Let's take a look over here at their left flank first. The Germans have completed their moves. This cannon has limbered up and is moving over to this direction to try to put some pressure on that side of the battlefield. These guys have a nice clear shot through here. And as you can see, the commanders have moved to here and here. That gives these guys a little bit more flexibility. It looks like the Prussian cavalry are trying to sweep around this way and kind of do the classic horns of the attack. He could probably move a little bit further that way, but we're good. We're protecting our flanks with these infantry, and now it's time for the Russians to go. On this side, the Russians are still hiding behind those woods, although this infantry has moved into the woods, and it looks like they're getting ready to hit these guys in the flank. We do have a leader over here, and these infantry pulled over. They had to go into attack column in order to get as far over here as they did. Looks like in the next turn, they're probably going to turn 90 and come crashing through this way. Our horses are still kind of looking at each other over the divide of these cannons. And we had this cannon did, on this turn, he is, that's a Prussian cannon, right. He's still limbered. Over on this side, same thing, a little bit of jostling for position. The Russians now do have troops within 3 inches of the Russian church here, so they now control this church. And it looks like in this next turn, things are really going to start going off. Again, we don't have any cannon fire here. These cannons have, what do you call it? They limbered up so they can move around to this side and hopefully defend from this direction, as these guys look like they're going to come sweeping around that way. So once again, as we move here into turn number, I think it's 6, the Prussians have to move first. The Prussians have moved, and as you can see, they've got their cannons the cannons have crossed over the stream here at the bridge. These cavalry are moving to attack, and we've got a solid line here. Unfortunately, it's not wide enough for 2-line, so we've got a line and an attack column. These guys are definitely crashing in. Over here on the other side of the board, we've got some wheeling action going through, and our cavalry are spread out. We've got one in line and one in squadron, and with that, it's time to see how the Russians are going to counter. As you can see, we've got a line versus line, attack column versus attack column, and then we also have a line in the woods facing this attack column. So, strength of numbers over here. A couple of cavalry looking to charge at each other. We've got a cannon and 2 cannon they're going to be able to fire. And the Russians are in pretty good shape over here. They've got a nice solid line right across the way. Let's check the... Yep, we got a couple of more cavalry battle that's going to happen over here. I think that's going to come down to... we've got a squadron versus line. That's going to come down to who charges who. Before we get to charges, though, we've got shooting... and we have a lot of it. Let's go from left to right, shall we? Veterans shooting at seasoned, hitting on a 3-up. They're going to get 2 hits. That is going to pin them. However, they do get to shoot back. They are going to be hitting on, because they are seasoned, the Prussian seasoned are going to be hitting on 4-up. And they get a total of 1 hit on their counterpart. So they are liable to be charged here. Then we've got 2 dice shooting at 2 dice. So the Russians are going to hit with 1, and the Prussians are going to hit with 2, which will pin their counterpart. These guys are sitting on 2. These guys are sitting on 1. But wait, we're not done, because we've got 4 more shots hitting on 3s. 1 more hit will be enough to pin them in place. The shooting is done on this side of the battlefield. Let's take a look over here. First thing, we've got a couple of cannons down here. We'll start with the Russian cannon, or the Prussian cannon, since they're sitting there in the near ground. These guys do have a shot right there. Ooh, they're just not quite facing the right way. They're going to have to shoot at the artillery. And because of that, they're going to fire 2 dice, hoping for a 6. They get 1 hit on this guy. That's it for him. 1 hit. He needs to take a total of 2 to become disrupted, or disordered, as it were. Now we've got some shooting to do. Let me slide this out of the way. We've got 2 inches away here, 2 inches away here. Ooh, just barely he's in. And I think that's it. So we got 1 unit of Prussians. He's going to open fire at this unit with a 4d6. And these Prussians now are... well, there's conscripts in there. These guys are seasoned, so they're only hitting on 4s. That's going to be a lot of missing. And that's unfortunate, because they're about to take a total of 8d6 from those collective guys. However, the good news is all the guys shooting at them are conscripts. Yeah, all right, so 8 conscripts hitting on 5s, and that's a really good roll for conscripts. A total of 5 hits is really bad. 5 hits is going to be waiver test in addition to becoming disordered. The first thing we'll do is drop down a 5 damage on him. Then we'll take a look at disordered. Which is this red guy here. They cannot move, charge, or shoot. Not only that, they have to make a waiver test, and because it's 5, they only succeed on a 5 or a 6. A 4 ain't gonna do it. A failed waiver test means... let's see, through posters, let's see, if they fail, the controlling player, if they fail a waiver test, make an activation roll. So we got to roll again, and we're hoping for a 5. We didn't get it. If the roll is successful, the unit retires from the field with integrity and colors. If unsuccessful, the unit is overrun, and 1 elan is transferred from this commander to the other commander. So these guys retire in disgrace. And now this commander only has 2 elan, where this commander now has, what was he at before? He was at 4. Now he's at 5. He's got some rerolls coming his way. I think this is going to go great for the Russians. But we're not done yet, because we do have some charges to do. Are these guys within 4 inches? They're not. But these guys are. So we got to check and see if these guys go crashing into each other. Once again, I'm going to use the green die for the Russians. And we need to check some statuses on these. Those are, these Prussians are seasoned heavy cavalry. So they are going to succeed on a 3. These are conscripts. They're only going to succeed on a 5. So there you go. Let's see who charges who. Both of them charge. Great. So it's going to be meeting somewhere right in the middle. We'll measure 1.5 inches. These guys are going to wheel around. These guys are going to wheel up. And we're going to have a fun little shindig. I am going to go ahead and resolve this combat. And then we'll go down and take a look at the charges down on the other side of the battlefield. First thing to be aware of is that the seasoned boyos hitting on a 4. Wait, is it seasoned or veteran? Yeah, they're seasoned. So they're going to roll, because they're in squadron, it's going to be 2d6. They get a plus 1d6 for the charge. And then, oh, but wait a minute, because there's something else going on here. It's light let's see, these guys came in from the east. So this is seasoned light cavalry versus seasoned, oh, I was wrong. It's seasoned versus Prussian flankers were seasoned versus seasoned light cav. All right, light cav versus light cav. There's something about light cavalry. I can't remember what it is. Got it. Light cavalry receive no charge bonus when they're charging cavalry. So it's going to be 2 dice for the Prussians. They're going to score no hits, and it's going to be 4 dice for the Russians. They're going to score 2 hits. Cavalry taking 2 hits. Since, let's see, shoot combat phase, they do not recoil or anything like that. Nobody destroyed anybody. Everybody's got to withdraw 4 inches after combat. And the follow-up cost is no pursuit because nobody followed nobody else. All right, since there's no withdrawal, we needed 1 more hit for that. Everybody's going to withdraw 4 inches, like so. And these guys are going to withdraw 4 inches to here. And they're going to take their 2 casualties with them. And I think that's it. Cavalry units that forced to withdraw, follow up. There's something. I think they're disrupted or disordered at this point. No, you need 3 hits for that to happen. So let's take a look at this other cavalry charge down here. And again, we got to check and make sure we understand what our unit types are. The Prussians have a conscript line cavalry. So they're going to charge on a 5. They do not charge. The Russians have a seasoned heavy cavalry. They charge on a 3. So they do, which means the Russians will be the ones making contact. Because they're line cavalry, they're in line, they're going to roll that extra die, and they're going to have 5 dice to roll versus 4 for the Prussians. We'll start with the Prussians. They're conscript, therefore hitting on 5s. They get 2 hits on the Russian cavalry. Then the Russians are going to follow up, and they're going to be hitting on, that is seasoned. They're going to be hitting on 4s, rolling. They get 2 hits as well. And because nobody got the 3 hits, everybody is going to withdraw 4 inches, taking their casualty die with them. So 4 inches that way, 4 inches that way, and I think that's going to be the end of the turn. Again, because there aren't any, we didn't do 3 damage, nobody is disordered or disrupted. The hill doesn't mean anything, but we had some fun, kind of jostled and protected flanks, and then we go back to the command phase. And this time around in the command phase, we're going to lift off the pin markers. And, oh, you know what? I'm wrong. We're not doing command yet. These guys are going to charge into here. And because they're charging into a flank, they're going to be able to attack the Prussians basically free of charge. They are in attack columns, so they're only going to roll 2d6. And they are veterans, so they're hitting on 5s, so they will do a 3rd casualty. And because they got, well, that's 3 hits, 4 hits, the disordered. Nah, it's nothing like that. They just take the 1 extra. And like I said, because it's a flank attack, they don't get to counterattack. The Prussians don't get to counterattack. They probably should have just marched straight through the woods and hit those guys. But I'm learning. I always forget because usually woods you want to avoid them when you're in line. In this game, you might as well march through the woods. It slows you down a little bit, but anyway, it's fine. So we've already pulled our pin markers off. Everybody's good. It is now, the Russians now have a total elan of 8 to just 5 for the Prussians. So if the Russians can take out 1 more unit and double up the elan, if they can go to 9 to 3, it's game over. The Russians win. That being said, the Russians are going to tell the Prussians, why don't you go ahead and move. Cavalry are going to move up. Because they weren't badly damaged, they don't need to spend another turn doing anything. That's the 4 inches that they're allowed to move in line. We're going to turn this artillery around, and we're going to position these guys just a little bit better. And oh, you know what? These guys could have charged. I guess they didn't want to for whatever reason. That's the only motion that we've got over here. So what kind of motion do we have for the Prussians over on this side? Well, we might as well. We're okay. Let's see if we can get these guys into action by. Our leaders are going to pull in a little bit, so we can bring these guys out to here, and then we'll bring these guys are going to have to form... Well, you know what? We learned our lesson. We're going to spin them the 2 inches, and we're not going to worry about the trees. We'll form line with this cavalry, and we'll move them up to here, just 3 inches away. Well, we better... Well, either way, so here's the beauty of this system. Well, they're going to squeeze through right there, I guess. That forces these infantry, the Russians are going to go. So they're already within 2 inches there. They're going to move up to 2 inches to here and have to stop. They'll move up to 2 inches here and have to stop. So these cavalry are fixing to get punched in the mouth, and we'll bring these guys up as well to get them close enough. Limbered, ready to shoot, and that just means we need to bring these guys... they got to stay within 4, so we'll go ahead and bring them something like this, and we'll form squadron. That's really about the best we can do. In other games, you might be able to sweep around, but that would put them out of command, so we're done over there, and we are on to shooting. So let's do some shooting over here. We're going to have a total of 4d6 hitting on 5s, shooting at this cavalry. No hits. Then we're going to have another 4d6 hitting on 5s, and we're going to get 2 hits, which will take them up to 4, and with 2 shooting hits, they're halted. Right, halted, so they're not even going to be able to charge this turn. That's a bit unfortunate. These guys are they 2 inches away? They're just barely 2 inches. We'll give it to them. They're going to take a series of shots here. It's going to be 4 shots hitting on... One of those guys hitting on those crazy Prussians coming in from the side are seasoned, so they're going to be hitting on 4s. 4 shots hitting on 4s. They get 2. That pins this unit, and that unit is now bloodied. And then we've got shots here, 4 shots at these guys. And again, those are conscripts, but they're fancy shooting. No. Are those Russians conscripts? Russians in the north. Yeah, those are conscripts. They are only hitting on 5s, but hey, 2 hits is enough to pin this cavalry and save them from being charged. So we'll take that kind of shooting. Now we're going to do this gunnery duel. It's going to be 4 dice targeting this cannon, and we're not going to get any hits, and then it's going to be 4 dice shooting back at that cannon, and we're not going to get any hits. You're only hitting on 6s. And then we can look at this left flank over here where, we didn't move these guys up. These guys wanted to move back up to charge range. They're ready to go at it again. 4 inches up. That's the only movement we've got there. We do have some shooting, though. Once again, we're going to have 4 shots over here hitting on... it's going to be 1 hit for these guys, and then it's going to be 4 shots here hitting on 4s. What a great shot. They go up to 5 damage, and with 4 hits, they become disordered. But it doesn't force a waiver test. These guys are locked in combat, so that's it for the shooting. Then we have to do our charges. And once again, we're going to try to do some charging down here. And the Russians are going to... the seasoned heavy cavalry will charge. These guys will not. So there's going to be they're heavy cavalry, yeah. So not only that, but, what effect does the heavy cavalry do? When you're charging other cavalry would be the question. Heavy cavalry, the heavies are shock troops. They always reroll 1 unsuccessful hit roll on a charge. Alright, so they get to reroll a miss. We still, they can't charge, but they can. Let's see if they can make contact. With a 5, they do, so they're going to add another 2d6. into this melee down here. Let's go ahead and do all the melee on this side of the action. Oh, these guys fired, but they can still charge up there. Let's do that. They're going to charge up and contact these guys. We're going to move the river. There we go. Hey, how about that? Kind of give them a fighting chance. They did have 3 wounds. And I want to do this battle down here before I forget that the heavy cavalry get to re-roll. They did charge, so they're going to roll 5 dice. And they are seasoned, so they're hitting on 4s. And they got a miss, they're going to re-roll. They get a total of 3 hits. Takes these guys to 5. And with 3 hits, they have to withdraw. What is it, 4 inches? 3 hits cause become cavalry withdraw and become disordered. So they're going to run back, total of 4 inches, back to where they... Actually, they're driven back a little bit further this time. And they are disordered, which is going to pin them in place for the next turn. They're not going to be able to charge. Then we've got this battle over here. We've got 2 dice attacking this unit with 2 wounds. And they both miss. Then we're going to have a total of 1, 2... Let's see, if you charge, you get plus general effects charge. All right, so we get... These guys charge. So they get 3 dice, and then we get 4 dice for the guys in the flank. So 3, 4, 7 dice. These are all hitting on 4s. 1, 2, 3 more hits. Takes these guys up to 6. And when you take 3 hits in combat, they have to recoil a half an inch. Although, and become disrupted. Who do they recoil from when you're flanked like that? I can't remember, but either way, I'm just going to pull them back, something like that. We'll figure that out in a second. They are disrupted. Like that. And then we've got a combat up here where it's going to be the Prussians now rolling 5 dice to see how many hits they get. And since those are seasoned infantry, it's going to be a total of 2 hits, taking these guys up to 7. How am I going to do this? We'll give them 1 more die there. And then the guys that are disrupted are going to get to roll 4 dice, but they only hit on 4s, which is 3 hits, but they have to re-roll 1 of them, and they still get 3 hits, which takes them to 6. And with 3 hits on both of them, they are both disordered now. What happens if a disordered unit becomes disordered? And they both have to withdraw. I'm just going to pull these guys back a little ways. If a disordered unit becomes disordered, I think it just stays disordered, doesn't it? Or does it force a waiver test? The troops of cavalry, infantry units that are no longer halted or disordered. Yeah, it doesn't say that these are cumulative. So we're going to call it right there. And I think that's it on this side of the table. Yeah, we're done. We're moving on to the next turn. All of these pinned markers come off, and I'm going to replace all of the disrupted markers over on the opposite side of the table. And the Russians are going to go ahead and spend an elan to remove the 1 pin marker that they had over here, so that they are free to act and operate however they wish. The Prussians move first, so these horses are going to move up. They can only get to within 4 inches, so they can really only move up to right about there. They're kind of hanging on for dear life there, aren't they? They can't move. Nobody really can move. It's all going to be charges at this point, unless you're talking about over here, where you've got a fresh where we can pull this commander over this way so that these guys can move over and these guys can move over, and then we've got some extra firepower to bring to bear, but we are going to have to bring this squadron to make sure they're still within 4 inches of that guy, and I guess we'll put him right there. Okay, so that's good right there. we're done with all the moving. Then it's going to be shooting. And as usual, we're going to have a whole lot of dice to roll. We'll start, this time we're going to go from right to left. We've got a total of 4 dice, conscripts, hitting on 5s. No hits on the cavalry here. We've got hitting on 5s at these guys, no hits. These Prussians are going to shoot back, and they're not, wow, pretty lousy shooting this time. Then we've got a total of 8 shots at this cavalry unit. And they're only going to be hitting on 5s. They only get 1 hit, which is going to expose somebody to being charged. We do have some artillery. This time around, all of our artillery are going to be shooting at this guy for the Prussians. They're shooting in the flank, so they get to re-roll 1 miss, and they're hitting on 5s, so all misses. But hey, let's go ahead and re-roll those. They do manage to swing 1 tiny little hit. There's your 1 hit. And then these cannon are going to shoot back, trying to get 6s, and they get 1 hit on... I'm running out of dice here, guys. We'll just call it that one over there on the left. And we are done with the shooting on that side of the board, so we'll come back around here. And we do have some shooting. We've got these conscripts. No, they're not conscripts, but we probably should have moved these guys out at some point. They come out in flank march, and they can, it's too late now. Next turn. I don't know what those conscripts are doing. We got seasoned guys that have a lot of hits, so they're going to be hitting. We got 4 shots here. If they can just get 1 hit, which they do, these guys are out of action. But they do get to roll, and they're going to get a total of 2 hits. So both of these units are wiped out. This guy's got to make a 5-up. He fails. He loses the colors. This guy's got to make a 5-up. He fails and loses his colors. So the Russians go down to 6, and the Prussians go down to 4. And both of these units are now removed from the map. Then we have, well, these guys are pinned, so they can't move, but they can shoot. Let's just change, I don't know if they can change formation. They are still in, technically they're in attack column. I just didn't have room to squeeze it in, so let's put them in a triangle just to represent that attack column. They're only going to get 2 dice to shoot at this guy who is also an attack column. They're going to miss with both of them, and then they're going to have to eat a total of 6 dice worth of shooting. And that's going to wipe them from the map. Rolling to see if they save the colors, and they do. But now the Russians have free hand over here. So the last thing we have to do is some charging, and we do have a charge over here. Rolling to see who charges. They only succeed on a 5-up now, which means the heavy cavalry get the charge. And they're going to get to roll the extra die. It's going to be 5 dice for them. And they get to re-roll 1 miss. They got 2 hits. They re-roll that miss, and it is still a miss. But that does take this light cavalry up. They get to roll 4 dice attacking back, and they're only going to get 1 hit. So everybody's got to withdraw, and they're going to be pushed back yet another 4 inches to here, and they're just taking it on the chin, like so. They withdraw, and they withdraw. 1, 2, 3, 4, to about right there. And then I think we're done. We've got 1 more turn, and we'll force the Prussians to move first. We're going to have to pull this guy back to here. We'll wheel the cannons about to force... Well, let's see. He can spin. This guy is going to stay right as he is. So he spins to guard this flank. They are still pinned, so they cannot move. And then the Prussians over here About all they can do is send these guys out in line formation. And I think that's it for movement. The Commander-in-Chief can slide back over here. We'll just kind of get him out of the way. So they come out of the built-up area in march formation, and they're only going to get to fire one die at that unit. But hey, it ain't nothing. Then we go move on to, and I think we pull him back here just to free up a little space on that side too. So then we move on to shooting, and it's going to be a whole lot of shooting at this guy. So there's 4. That does 2 hits. 4 more does 3 more hits, and they're out of the battle. And they do not save the colors. So the Prussian Elan drops down to 3. It's now 3 to 6. But you do, I think, everything is simultaneous. So I think we need to play out the remainder of the turn. Which means we still have 4 shots, 8 shots rather. That's 1, 2, 3. Looking for 5s and 6s. 4 more hits. It's going to pin these horses with 7 casualties. And they are for sure pinned. But we do have 1 shot at this guy, which is going to be a miss. And we've got 1 cannon shooting at him. And he can re-roll 1 of those misses. They're beyond 4, so still nothing. We've got 4 shots from the cannons at this cannon on the bridge. Hitting on 6s, that's a 2nd. And that cannon is now disrupted. So what we'll do is we'll bring these guys up here. Where's our leader? Our leader's going to come up. We'll swing these guys around to here. Because I think it's all over. I think that they've got full control, contested control of the other church. Means we're tied. These guys will move up 4 inches to there. And there's no shooting to be done on this side just yet. Oh, no. Well, he can shoot. In fact, not only can he shoot, he is close enough. But it's not going to make any difference because, A, he misses. And B, even though if he's within 4 inches, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that was his movement. Unlimber, shoot there. So we have to do some charges here. And once again, the Russians succeed, and they've got impact. So since this is the only combat on this side, we'll go ahead and roll it. It's going to be 5 for the heavies. They get to re-roll 1 of those, and they are going to get a total. Are they seasoned heavy? Man, seasoned heavy is brutal. They're only hitting on 4s, but they only needed 1. So this guy is dead. He fails to save his colors. And this cavalry is fixed. I mean, we might as well. There's no reason not to. These guys are going to charge, and we'll do 1 column and 1 line, which is going to be 6 dice. Looking for 5s and 6s. All you need is 1 hit, and this cavalry is down. And even if this cavalry attacks back with 4 dice and hits 1 of these guys, it's not going to make any difference. So at the end of this turn, the Elan difference is going to be doubled up, and the Prussians are going to quit the field. Big mistake leaving these guys in the built-up area. It doesn't do you any good to control a river crossing if it's well behind your front lines. I really think that the disruptive power, although these guys are part of this detachment, but I really think that bringing them around and helping out would have been better. Other big mistake, the forests don't block movement. You might as well send guys through there. All they do is slow things down. And if you shoot at a line infantry in the woods, you do 1 less D6 attack. Those are some fairly critical errors on my part. They're the kind of thing that you have to experience to really learn. And we now had our first successful multi-divisional game. I think 2 divisions is probably too much for 1 guy to handle. If I was playing this game with some buddies, if I had wanted to play a good 4-player game, I think this would be perfect. But it is just a little bit too much trying to track all of the troop types, particularly when you are playing with 2mm figures where you have to constantly remind yourself that these heavy guys are heavy, and those heavy guys are light, and those heavy guys are just gets to be a little bit too much to remember. Breaks the flow of the video, so I don't know if I'm going to be doing any more of these multi-divisional games, but I wanted to show you guys how the gameplay is, so you can take this information and go have a great time at your own table, because that's what it's all about. I'm praying for you.